Hello, I'm Lauren Campbell, and today we're going to talk about Ruby Payne's book, A Framework for Understanding Poverty. In her book, Payne discusses the role of poverty plays in education and how we as teachers, administrators, and school personnel can help bridge the gap between students who come from impoverished families and those students who come from middle or upper class families. Let's start with Payne's definition of poverty. According to Payne, poverty is the extent to which an individual does without resources. Understanding this definition allows us to begin to develop a plan for assisting students who fall into this category. In terms of resources, Payne breaks this broad category into several more specific areas. Let's take a look at these resources.
Payne categorizes resources as financial or monetary resources, emotional resources, those needed to withstand difficult or uncomfortable emotional feelings and situations, mental or cognitive resources, those that bring about the abilities and skills to deal with life, spiritual resources, those that lead to believing that help can be obtained from a higher power, physical resources, having a body that works and is capable and mobile, support systems like friends and family to call on in times of need, relationships and role models that are nurturing and appropriate, knowledge of hidden rules, those unspoken cues and habits of varying groups, and language and formal register, or rather, the ability to use the vocabulary and sentence structure of work and school.
Understanding that as educators, we cannot control all resource needs of students, Payne focuses primarily on resources that we can impact in the lives of our students. In her book, she discusses our relevance in the creation and influence on language resources, influence on teaching the hidden rules, influence as role models on emotional resources, and influence on creating support systems through the strong, appropriate relationships. Let's talk about the influence educators can have on language resources. Payne discusses the importance of 4 aspects of language: registers of language, discourse patterns, story structure, and the specifics of vocabulary. Let's look at some specifics.
Did you know that children ages 1 to 4 from impoverished families are exposed to 13 million words? This may sound like a lot. However, in reality, this is a huge deficit when compared to children of working class who are exposed to 26 million words and children of professionals who are exposed to 45 million words in the same time period. This immediately puts students who come from poverty behind other students even prior to entering kindergarten. In addition, students who come from poverty are more used to using a more casual register of language. Therefore, when telling a story, they are often more apt to go around an issue before getting to the point, and they are more apt to begin a story at the end or with the emotional part. To students who come from poverty, stories and conversations are meant for entertainment purposes.
So, understanding student language gaps can begin the process of teachers and schools addressing the problem. How can this problem be addressed? Let's take a look at some ideas. Teachers could have students write in a more casual register and then translate to a formal register. Teachers could also use graphic organizers to show patterns of discourse and even use stories across subject areas to develop concepts. Most importantly, teachers should use casual register to develop and build relationships with their students. Another resource that schools can help students acquire comes in the form of learning the hidden rules. Although schools are comprised of students from impoverished, middle class, and upper class backgrounds, schools function with a set of rules based on the middle class. Oftentimes, impoverished students arrive at school without the knowledge of these hidden rules. Let's take a look at some of the examples of the hidden rules in our schools.
The hidden rules in schools are the social norms for middle class people. People of the middle class understand that using inappropriate or vulgar comments is not acceptable in public settings. However, those in poverty have never been taught the hidden rules. Therefore, students in poverty attend class and are often reprimanded for exhibiting social behaviors that are acceptable in their personal lives. Other unacceptable behaviors or hidden rules are physically fighting, providing angry responses, not following directions, only completing one part of a task, and being disrespectful to authority figures.
In addition to the lessons on language and hidden rules, school employees can provide something different altogether. This comes in the form of providing strong, appropriate relationships for students and serving as a role model for students who oftentimes lack appropriate adult support. Many times, students who come from impoverished backgrounds serve as adults for their younger siblings. Therefore, they oftentimes lack the support systems necessary for them to truly be successful in their own lives.
With the lack of support systems comes a lack of a variety of resources. These include coping strategies, options during problem solving, information and know-how, connections to other people, positive self-talk, and procedural self-talk. As educators, we can help develop strong, appropriate relationships with all of our students and help ensure that students that come from poverty have better access to these support systems. Many times, teachers serve as the only support system a student may have. In addition to this, educators can model appropriate behaviors and serve as a positive role model for these students.
So there you have it. Although as teachers we are given students with a variety of challenges, it is important to remember that many times we can make a difference. We just have to understand how.